Todd, I wrote down a few questions for you.
Sure.
Shall I ask you one?
Yes, ask me one.
Okay. Let's see. I wrote a few. Let me see where I should start. Okay, my first question is what were you like as a kid? Like as a kid, as a teenager, were you artistic? Were you always, looking to push the envelope and shock people, or what were you like?
I was incredibly shy. I mean, I remember, when I was younger, I was very, very shy. Whenever a teacher would call on me in class, I would turn beet red. I mean, whenever anyone would talk to me, I'd turn beet red and like break out in a rash,
Wow.
really bad. But then, um, when I was in middle school, I sort of discovered acting. And that was a huge relief for me because I could play a character and then not be myself. And, it sort of cured my shyness. Um, so that's what I was like in high school. I was a jock and I was a theater geek. So it was
In a
a
jock?
yeah.
No way. Oh wow. Were you like into sports?
Yeah, I mean I was a competitive swimmer.
Oh
uh,
wow.
And I did football for like one season, but I was like, I could get really hurt doing this. I'm not. This is crazy. Forget this. But I did track. I did cross country, basketball, stuff like that. But
Wow. Do you remember when you first picked up a camera? Like when you discovered like, oh my God, like this is my thing, you know what I mean?
yeah, well, I think when I was acting in high school, there was a group of us. Stephanie Nisnik was one of my really good friends, and she was on that show Everwood.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
Um, so we were in school together and we did stuff together, and another friend of mine. So we did like community theater things and stuff, and I was really into that. But and then we would also direct each other in little things, and that's when I sort of discovered that I kind of liked being behind the scenes more than in front of the camera. Um, and then I really didn't start making films until I went to art school. That's when I really, got into the idea of making films and video and making art and all that stuff. So it was
Right.
in uh, college at art school at RISD.
Right. And did you always know that like was it always like easy for you to like you've not what I love about your work is you don't get caught up in the whole Hollywood machine and having all these people's opinions about the work and how you should do it. Was there a time where you were like, okay, fuck that, I can't do this Hollywood thing, I'm gonna do things on my own? Like was that a moment in time that you thought that, and where you like, this is the way I'm doing things, doing this movie thing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I first started out, it was art school, and I was making video art and making
Right.
films and like doing performance art and stuff. So it was all very like do it yourself and do it by yourself. Um, so that I really got into, and I really like the idea of filming something myself because I'm
Mhm.
sort of involved in the action. I can't imagine directing something where you're sitting at a video screen away from everyone. I mean, to me, that doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, I need to be make
Yes.
connection with the actors and with the scene and what's happening. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, I I think after Frisk came out, it was such a huge controversy that all of us that sort of made the film were kind of like, huh, what happened? Why is everyone so freaking out about this? Because we had such a blast making it, and we didn't think it was controversial at all. Um, so after that, I was like, well, if I'm gonna get this like big a response for something, I want it to be something that's personal, that's like
Mhm.
means something personal to me rather than something based on someone else's work.
Right.
So that's when decided like, okay, I started making little shots of happiness, where it's just like I filmed it, with a little video camera, with a bunch of actors I knew, and then that just became, my way of working. That I just
Yeah. Did you shoot Frisk, or did you have a DP
didn't.
on that?
I had a DP on that. Yeah. I mean, we had
Yeah,
a very small crew because, I didn't want a huge crew. I mean,
yeah,
uh, but I had a DP but I didn't have a monitor. I was, next to the
right.
DP, like we were working together. Um,
Yes,
and
yeah,
I've worked on a DP on other movies, and I really like being a DP, and I like, you know, as long as I'm working with an actor, with a director who knows what they want and can communicate with me, and
yes,
it's a collaboration rather than just like being ordered around to do things by
right,
doesn't really know
right.
what that's
Yeah. That's the hardest part. I just directed my first like indie feature, and I feel like that was the one of the most challenging things was working. I mean, she was lovely. I had a really lovely DP and she was really good, but it was finding that sort of because we'd get to set and I was like, wait a minute, the vibe is different. Like I'm feeling this over here instead of what we wrote down over Zoom, like just going over the script. So that was really difficult to break her out of that, and that became challenging to be like, no, let's I want to do this instead. That was one of the biggest. So I totally hear what you're saying about not imagining working with the DP, because a lot of it is instinctual too, right? I remember you being on set and being like, okay, let's do this now, and it was just like you're feeling what's happening in the moment and anticipating moments, right? And so it's really nice to be able to do that, holding the camera and creating that. So yeah, I'm not working with DPs anymore. No, I'm kidding.
well, I'll be a DP for you.
Right? Yes, I feel like you and I will really like
That
vibe
would be
together
really fun.
for
I think
sure.
it's a really interesting relationship between a director and a DP. It can be very volatile, but it also can be like really amazing when it works. When the two click, it's an amazing collaboration. And I think
That's
that's true. That's true with actors too. I think
yeah,
when I work with an actor like you, who is, really prepared and has a lot of ideas and, is, willing to do anything really, you develop that relationship that's almost like a psychic connection where,
yeah, yeah,
I think like, oh, he should do this now. And then you do that. I'm like, how did you know?
and it works. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. That's so funny. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have another question, which is sort of very random, but you obviously you don't again, you're not part of the whole Hollywood thing, but if you were given the opportunity to work with one like A-list movie star who would be willing to do whatever you wanted in one of your movies without compromising your artistic integrity, and of course working in your guerrilla style, and he or she would agree to that, like who is like your one person that you'd be your like dream person, you'd be like, I want to work with this person.
Oh my God, that's a really good question. Um,
I know that's a hard one. You could think about it too if you want, and we could come back to it if you want, because it's
yeah. I mean, I worked with Patricia Arquette before,
oh,
um,
you have.
on a student film. Yeah, when I was at the
Oh,
AFI. Uh,
that's right. That's why you were posting pictures of her for
yeah,
a minute. Right? That's right.
and
Oh, she's awesome.
it was, she was amazing to work with, and I would love to do something with her now. That would be fun.
Yeah. And
Um,
you've worked with her
yeah,
sister, Alexis Arquette, on Frisk.
Alexis. Yeah, because I met Alexis when I worked with Patricia. She suggested that we have Alexis be in that film as well. So that's how
Oh,
I met
neat.
Alexis. And
Wow.
then I thought Alexis would be great for Frisk. And actually, I worked with Alexis again. She did a voiceover for a short film I made, Fire Island '79,
Oh, wow.
and we were talking about I wanted her to have a part in a movie that actually haven't made yet. But unfortunately, like that never happened because she passed.
Right. Oh,
Um,
man.
loved loved her, loved working with her.
I did too. Yeah. We did a movie called I Think I Do that Brian Sloan wrote and directed. And Marcus Hugh was I think they distributed the film.
Yeah,
and distributed the film. Yeah, there was I had never met anybody like Alexis.
I really like working with actors that challenge me, that
Yeah,
have opinions.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
that's always fun. Another actor I'd really like to work with is Jennifer Jason Leigh,
Oh, yes.
because I actually met her when I was going to AFI. She did a short film, and I worked on it. And I really, I think she's just so brilliant, and
Oh, I
I think
love her so much. I love her in I mean, I love her in so many things, but I'm obsessed with Fast Times at Richmond High, which I love so much. And
oh,
also Dolores Claiborne. I don't know if you've seen that.
oh yeah, of
Obviously, Stephen
course,
King, your old neighbor.
yep.
I love that movie, and she's so great of at playing that sort of tragic, like my life is a mess, like that just fucked up, super unhappy, and oh, she's so raw, she's so good.
Well, how about you? What actors would you really like to work with?
Oh my God, that's a good question. I actually have like directors that I would really
That's
love
better.
to work with, and you, of course, I want to do more stuff with you. And John Cameron Mitchell, I love John Cameron Mitchell, who I know you know as well.
Mhm.
Um, I would love to work with him. I would love to work with Pedro Almodovar, who I love his movies so much. Are you a fan of Pedro Almodovar?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I love Bad Education. I mean, I love all his movies, but recently I've rewatched Bad Education with Guy Garcia Bernal, and it's so great. It's so great.
And Love Desire, I think, is my favorite.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I need to watch Bad Education again because I've only seen that one once. So I need to see it
Oh,
again.
really? It's so good. It's so like provocative too. It's so like, because there's all these like, there's like priests and young boys, and yeah, and he really he pushes things without it being too much, but it's great. It's a great movie. So yeah, those two directors I would love. And I always wanted to work with Wes Craven, but unfortunately he's passed away now, but you know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What else, Todd? What else do you love about me? No, I'm kidding. I Should I ask you one more question? I have another question I was gonna ask you. It's also, oh, okay, this is a good one. Okay, so we're both huge fans of Showgirls, of
Yes.
course. Do you remember where you
Oh,
saw the movie, where you first saw it?
absolutely. It was at the Alhambra Theater in San Francisco.
Yes.
Opening night, it was sold out. I went with my friend Laurel, who directed the movie that with Patricia. Like I met her at AFI.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
I went with her, and we both just sat there on the edges of our seats, like, "Oh my god, this movie is so amazing." And meanwhile, everyone around us is just like, "What is going on?" I think we didn't watch it right afterwards, but we thought about it. We were like, "Should we stay and watch it again?" Um, but
Remember back in the day, you were able to just like go back it right? It was so much easier back. I remember in the 80s when I was a teenager, we just like go back and watch things again or go into another movie, and yeah.
yeah, you go and hide in the bathroom,
Yeah.
and so then
Yeah.
everyone laughed, and then you go back in the movie like you just got there.
Yeah. Oh my God. So you liked it the first time you saw it.
I I I
Loved it.
I loved it because I was just like, "What is," it's just,
What is this? Yeah.
what is this? It's just like, it's just so bright and so colorful and so nasty and just
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think it perfectly encapsulates what Las Vegas is, because I think Las Vegas is incredibly scary.
Oh yeah, and sketchy and gross and shiny and sexy and all of those things at the same time. Yeah. I had the opposite reaction. I first saw Showgirls. I actually auditioned for Showgirls. Did I
Really? Oh
say
my
this?
god. Oh my god.
I auditioned for James, who
Oh,
is the her friend who's the dancer that she gets him fired. I mean, I'm telling you, like you don't know. You're like, I fucking know who James is.
Seen it
What's
300
that
times.
actor? Glenn Plummer, I think, is the actor that
Yes.
play James, and he's so great. But I auditioned for it. Randy, I forget what the casting director's name was. I auditioned really early on when they were still sort of developing that character. I never had to dance. Like I don't think the dancing was a big part of that character yet.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, even though I would have busted a move if they wanted me to. Um, but and then so I auditioned for it early on, and then I never heard anything, and then I started, hearing rumors that Madonna was attached to the movie. She was interested. Did you hear about that too?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever really knew if that was true. She never really confirmed that, did she?
Never confirmed it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was sort of that's the rumor that was circulating. They were, on in like the New York Post, there were photos of her at a strip club. And I remember I actually saved the clipping and it said she was researching for an upcoming movie called Showgirls. Anyway, so that was my first introduction to Showgirls and excitement about it. And then I ended up seeing it opening night in Las Vegas. I was in Vegas and I
Oh,
went to the theater. Yeah. And I saw the movie with a couple of friends. And I remember being so mad and so pissed off because it was so bad and just hated it. So I had the complete opposite reaction. But, and then I saw it again and I saw it again. And then this growing, like it just grew on me. And I ended up, it's one of my favorite movies ever. So it's interesting that we both had the opposite sort of reaction to it, but in the end we both came to love it. So
mm,
and I think, I mean, this, I have a Showgirls poster from the movie in my bathroom.
yes.
It's Crystal Connors as Goddess. The poster, you actually see the poster in the film, and I have a friend who worked on the movie as like a on is one of this, not the set designer, but he was like an assistant to the set designer or the set decorator or whoever, and he was like, you want this poster? And I was like, yeah. um, so I have
I'm
that.
so jealous. I want that poster.
Yes, we that's what about the actor that you want to work with? Maybe it's somebody from Showgirls, maybe it's Elizabeth Berkley or Gina Gershon, right?
Gina Gershon, I mean, I think she is fantastic in everything she does. And I remember I've met her a couple of times and I'm always like so awkward whenever I meet her. I'm like, oh my God, I love you. And she's just like, yeah, okay.
I think we met her at the Party Girl. They did the restoration of Party Girl, right? And they played
Yeah.
it at the IFC Center, and we went to the after party, and that's the first time I met her, and it's because your husband introduced her to me, James. And James actually told her he's got a poster of you in his bathroom from Showgirls, and she was like, "Oh, I don't remember what her reaction was, but I think you were there. You were there
I
standing
was,
close by, right? I mean, I know you were at the party, but you were close by when he did that. I'm the same way. I just turned into like a bumbling idiot because I'm like, oh my God, this is like, somebody I love and admire and is in one of my favorite movies. I don't know what to say.
yeah. And yeah, because I mean, she is on a in Showgirls, she's sort of playing on a different level than everyone
Oh,
else. Like she's sort of it's interesting because her character and her as an actress are sort of in on what's happening, whereas everyone else is kind of like playing it straight. So it's
yes, you're
really
so
interesting
right.
dynamic, you know.
Her performance is so nuanced, right? Yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying. She's like in on it. Like she's leaning into that sort of very I don't know. Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like she's on a whole other plane than everybody else. And Elizabeth Berkley is very sort of reactional and, you know, in the moment, and Crystal is just on this other like heavenly, like otherworldly like level, right?
Mm. I'm still not convinced that Paul Verhoeven like really knew what he's doing, or I mean, not that he, or really aware of exactly what the movie was. But that's okay because it is what it is, and like it doesn't matter if he intended it to be that way. That's the way it is, and it's perfect.
Yeah, which
Like
I think that's
all the elements are, work together to make this
yes.
our perfect movie.
Yeah, I wonder what his feeling about it was when it became a cult classic. I wonder if he's angry about it or if he's, flattered by it. I wonder, because it's
Yeah.
brilliant. It's he create you're and I think you're right. I don't think he had any idea really what it was gonna. I mean, no one ever really knows what something is gonna become, but I think he really wanted it to be a serious sort of basic instinct type, film, like this serious like girl trying to make it as a dancer. Like she pushes this other dancer down the stair. Like he thought it was gonna be like a drama, I think. In my opinion. But then everything goes off the rails, which is what turns it into what's so great. Todd, one of the things I remember about our set about shooting You Can't Stay Here is all the fucking delicious vegetarian meals that we had together because I know you're vegan now, but you were vegetarian when we shot the film. And I'm sort of I'm mostly vegetarian. I'll eat meat or and fish once in a while, but I mostly am vegetarian, and I just love you and James. Well, I think it was probably mostly James. I'm thinking because you were so busy with the film, who would pick up these just delicious vegetarian meals. I love to eat, so of course I'm bringing it back to food. But how long? Now you're a vegan, but how long were you a vegetarian before you became vegan?
I've been a vegetarian since I was like 16 years old.
Oh shit! I think you've
Oh,
told.
I mean, God, that's 40 years.
Oh shit!
And my mom told me that when I was very young, she took me to a slaughterhouse. I don't know why she took me to a slaughterhouse, but she did. Um, and I saw animals being killed and stuff. And she said after that moment, I didn't want to eat meat anymore. Um, I still did up until I was 16 and I stopped eating it. But she was like, "You really didn't want any meat after that." I have no memory of that whatsoever. So
Oh,
it's
Todd,
interesting.
that sounds like the perfect beginning of like a movie for you. Like this mother that takes her child to a slaughterhouse and then
Yeah.
everything sort of evolves from there. I did a movie a long time ago in the 90s called Shooting Vegetarians, and I played the lead vegetarian like punk rocker who starts killing people like butchers and then chopping them up and putting them through the meat grinder, and it was the craziest film. And then this chicken appears to me, and the chicken tells me to kill these people, and the chicken is played by Brooke Smith, who is the girl in the pit in Silence of the Lambs.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, she plays the chicken because the DP was her boyfriend at the time, who's now her husband.
Oh, funny.
But the prosthetics on this chicken woman were amazing. But I think it's out there. I think you could find it somewhere. It's called Shooting Vegetarians. So crazy.
I have to check that out.
Didi Khan is in it from Greece.
Oh
She
my God.
Frenchie in Greece. Anyway, Todd, it makes me
Wait, one more
but
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so what was your favorite thing about shooting You Can't Stay Here?
Um, I think there's so many favorite things, but one of them was that we got to shoot in Central Park. Oh, that was the best. The fact that I got to wake up every morning and go to Central Park to shoot a movie with you was just such a thrill, and the fact that it was really easy. I mean, the being able to shoot in the park was really easy, and everybody was really nice, and it's just such a landmark in New York City. I'm a New Yorker, you're a New Yorker, and I mean, I live in LA now, but I was born and raised in New York City. So yeah, that was one of the biggest thrills was to get to shoot in Central Park. And I love that you've turned the park into like another character in the film. Like you really feel the vibe and the essence of Central Park in the 90s in our movie, and I just love that so much.
Yeah, I loved filming there too. I mean, and we really lucked out with the weather because
Oh yeah.
originally we were supposed to start shooting a month before, and that month it rained every single day.
Oh
And then yeah, I was like, I'm so glad we rescheduled because the month we shot it in June, and the weather was perfect every single day. It wasn't too hot. It was
Yep.
nice, sunny, and it was really fun. It was like almost like going to camp in a way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Go to the park and we'd have our picnic basket, and we'd film. We'd have a lunch, and then we'd film until it got dark, and then we okay, let's pack it up and head out. So it was
Yeah.
really fun.
And I love that you shoot very quickly. You don't do a lot of takes, which I admire and I love because I've been on many a sets where directors do more than the necessary amount of takes and you're just like this is ridiculous. If you got it, you'll do one take, maybe two for safety, but you move on very quickly from scene to scene, which and I love that. And I think there was one day that it rained and it was the ending of the
Oh yeah,
film.
yeah,
But imagine if it was like that for the whole shoot, that would have been really difficult.
yeah.
What was it? Do you remember why we didn't shoot when we were supposed to? Did I get a job or something? Was it like, or I couldn't do it? I don't remember what the reason was.
No, I think it was just like a scheduling thing. Like the schedule just got too
Gotcha,
complicated
gotcha, gotcha.
because some actors couldn't do it. Just like I don't like to reschedule things, but I was like, we really need to because it's just not going to work. We need to like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. And the actors that you got for the movie are just so great. And they fell right in line with you and with your style. And they were just all so like willing to play with you, you know what I mean, and do this Todd Verow movie. And they were just, I just feel so lucky that we got those actors to be in the film, you
yeah, me
know.
too. They were all great, and they were all so great to work with. Yeah, so I mean, when we got together and started talking about making a movie, I thought of making something about cruising because I had recently gone to the Central Park because I'd heard that during COVID it was busy again. So I went there and saw that it was actually busy. So I thought made me think about cruising a lot, and I wanted to make a movie about cruising. Um, so that's how that came about. What are your thoughts about cruising or?
Listen, I grew up in the 80s, so 80s, 90s, I was a teenager, early 20s, so cruising was a very big part of my existence as a gay man in the closet, in his 20s and as a teenager. So, and back in the day, we didn't have iPhones where now everyone's on an app and that's how they cruise virtually, but we did it in person. So it felt very familiar. Uh it felt it felt very naughty like cruising always does. For me, it felt exhilarating and scary. I was super into the idea that you wanted to do this, film and center it around cruising. I was really excited about it. I remember you and I having a lots of talks and telling each other stories about things that would happen when we'd be in those situations, and you used a lot of that stuff in the movie. And
Mhm.
yeah, I loved it. And I love that it was too, because there have been other movies about cruising, like the William Friedkin film called Cruising with Al Pacino. And I think there were a lot of, I don't know if there was one like gay person that was sort of at the helm of that could be like that wouldn't happen, or it was all these sort of straight like white guys making this movie, I feel like. So I love that you and I sort of came from we were familiar with it, and we knew you know the things that rang true and were real and what wouldn't work. And yeah, it was exciting.
Well, Guillermo, it was so great to talk with you and to reconnect. And I'm so excited that the movie is opening at the IFC Center on January 5th, and that you're going to be there with me to do some Q&As and all that. So I look forward to seeing
Yes.
you in person for that.
Same, Todd. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for an audience to see. I mean, we've been in a few festivals and audiences have seen it, but this is our proper premiere, and it's in New York City where we shot a scene from the movie. So yeah, I'm super excited to see you and see the film with an audience there in New York.